Welcome everyone. We are so excited. This is our fifth installment of Modern Slackers, Five Modern Pillars to Success. Today we are talking about number four, and number four is entrepreneurship and why it's important. We're centering this one all about your entrepreneurship story and why it's important. So, as usual, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what the five modern pillars to success are. And for the people that are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to hop over onto YouTube and so that you can see the visuals. We'll make sure that we say things, type things out so that you can hear it and come over and watch it later. So let me go ahead and pop open this tab for Modern Slackers. Perfect. So, modern slackers, we have our five modern pillars to success. Number one is investing. Number two is physical appearance. And as you all know, physical appearance is big because you got to look confident in the mirror. If you're starting a business and you don't see a champion, there's a big problem. The third one is networking. And number four is finding your niche entrepreneurship. That's where we're covering today. And the topic is your story, your entrepreneurship story. We added dating and relationships because we believe to live a all around healthy and happy life, you got to have all five of these nailed down. So to start this off, I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions, guys, that were brought to me through DMs. Now, an entrepreneurship story is essential for any business, any startup. And the reason is because it's what draws people to your product and convinces them to become loyal customers. For example, I started a company called Preferable Pups that did extremely well when I created my entrepreneurship story. We went from selling puppies to our mission statement being we want to help you be successful with raising your puppies. We just so happen to sell puppies. We match you to the best breeders. So you can always use your entrepreneurship story as a mission statement, and you can. The greatest example I have is from the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I'll leave a link below, guys. You got to have a why for your business. Why the hell did you start your company? And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce a good friend of mine who founded a product out of pure purpose. The story is incredible. I've met with this guy plenty of times. I wish I could have created a story as good as his, and it resonates because it's pure authenticity, and that's why it's going to succeed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in Dennis from T Lock. Dennis, how are you doing?
Good, John. It's nice to be on the air with you.
Yeah, man, it was good. I had a fun time chatting with you last night, and just to get the ball rolling, why don't you go ahead and give yourself an introduction?
Absolutely. I actually have been in the public safety forum for approximately 41 and a half years. So I worked with the sheriff's office. Out of all those years I worked for public safety, I spent 20 years working in narcotics.
That's incredible, Dennis. And so why'd you pick sheriff as a career?
I think it started when I grew up in Nevada. I actually started to do a little security work for the Navy. I
Whoa,
worked in a place called Hawthorne, Nevada, which is the largest storage munitions depot in the world. And I had a friend talk me into coming over and doing some police work there. So I worked
hmm,
for a little while, ended up being
yeah,
a sergeant and being over basically the what they call the North, Central, and South magazines of the largest storage depot in the world. And
holy crap.
that kind of got into me a little bit, and I thought, you know what, I might like police work. So I ended up moving to Utah and wasn't sure if I was going to stay here, but to be honest with you, I can't think of a better place to live.
I'm in Arizona right now, Dennis, and I am moving to Salt Lake City. So I thought for the death of me, I'd move out of Utah, but I'm staying there. I don't know why. As you know, I'm tattooed up, but like I drink coffee, so like Utah is a very tough market for me to make friends. But that's how I met you. Is we met at Elevation Fitness, the gym, and immediately created a connection when you told me your story. And it's one of these stories, people, that I really want you to sink your teeth into this because this is gonna provide so much insight of how to create a story for your business. And a business needs a story that resonates with a certain audience. And when Dennis told me his story, We'll get to it in a second. It was just I had to take a second and take a deep breath and process what he told me. So I'm very excited to have you on. Now, I do want to let you guys know you can use your story as a mission statement as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen of T-Lock, and we're gonna get right into it and just go back and forth with some questions. So let me share my screen right here. Are you ready to have your website shown, Dennis?
Oh,
This is the moment.
absolutely.
And for
Yes.
everyone on Apple Podcasts, please come over to YouTube when this is published, and so that you can see it, it is www.t-lock.net. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put that in here so people can see it on YouTube. So here is Dennis's website. And why don't you go ahead and explain what we're seeing here, Dennis?
Absolutely. What you're looking at right there is you're looking at a clamshell lock that will actually, it opens up just like a clamshell. It goes over the top of the gun and you're able to lock it. The nice part about this is that it is, well, of course, I'm a little biased, but I do believe that this is probably the strongest and most robust gun lock in the United States, if not the whole entire world.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to test one. I have one of them, and everything he is saying is factual, guys. We were talking yesterday, and you made a statement that really resonated with me. And that statement, if you remember, it's about the Second Amendment. Can you go ahead and repeat what you said?
Absolutely. You know, uh, I really believe this. I believe that there are those people in the United States now that are slowly trying to chip away the Second Amendment. And it's been my feeling that in order to have a strong Second Amendment, we have to be very, very responsible gun owners. And so what that means basically is that if you're going to buy a gun, you have to look at it a little bit differently than we have in the past. If you're going to
Right.
buy a gun, you have to buy a gun lock. And I believe that as the public sees more people dying from suicide, from homicides, from stolen guns, those who commit homicides, I think you're seeing people trying to chip away the Second Amendment. And it's absolutely a right that we have to bear, to own and bear guns. I just want to make sure that we're doing our part to go ahead and even solidify and make the Second Amendment even stronger, so that those people who are chipping at it, we, you know, they're going to continue to do it. But we have to do our part and be responsible to stop that from happening.
So I love that so much, right? We got to protect our Second Amendment, and the best way to do that is we have to protect our firearms. Is pretty much in a nutshell what you just said. I pulled up a stat and it said in 2019 over 40,000 people were committed suicide by firearms, which is insane.
Well,
And it
let me, that's an interesting stat because before I got on your show, I wanted to check with the CDC to find out exactly what they had.
Oh, that's good.
But
What'd you find out?
well, this is really interesting. In 2021, there were over 18 million guns sold in the United States. That's a record number. That surpasses anything that we've had in 2 decades. And so if you do look at suicide right now, the CDC basically has said that it's the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, especially between adolescents that are between the ages of 15 and 19.
Wow.
And in 2019, this is what I'm going to get to. I wished I had the stats for 20 and 21, but in 2019 there were estimated 3.5 million people who planned on suicide. Okay,
Whoa. And
one
these are
point
people that literally had the ideation or the
they were
idea
contemplating
they were
suicide,
contemplating suicide.
and but they break it down a little bit further, and 1.4 million people attempted suicide. but still in 2019, 47,511 people died by suicide. It used to be they used to call it committed suicide. The proper term that they're using today is they died by suicide,
Right.
and firearms were involved in half of those suicides.
Well, it's the easiest and most accessible way to do it. So I have to play devil's advocate a little bit, but it sounds like your gun lock protects that from happening, and that's the whole point of this. I mean, those stats I found out that 1 in 4 people are on antidepressants, right? That means 1 in 4 people in today's modern era have some sort of depression that leads to suicide ideation, and it's a scary stat, right? I personally have done my depression doom and gloom, and I've had those moments. So um, to have a product come to the market like this that prevents, a mistake to happen or something planned to happen is so essential. And that's why I want to transition into your story, Dennis. And this is that story that I want all the listeners to pay very close attention, because you don't hear an entrepreneurship story like you're about to hear. So, Dennis, please go ahead and tell us, why did you start T Lock?
Oh, I'd love to. Just to top it off with, you know, um, there has been twice as many deaths by suicide as compared to homicide. I mean, that's staggering. That's hard to even believe, but it's a fact. In my case, um, I worked a lot of late nights. Okay, I came home at it was normal for me to come home from working a shift at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I worked 16, 17-hour shifts sometimes. Um, and I remember it very vividly. This is what got me started into gun locks, and it was on Thursday, April the 20th, 1998. Um, I had come home early that morning, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and not wake up any of the family. And I wanted to put my gun in an area that I knew nobody would ever find it. I had done it a couple times before. Generally, I kept it locked up. But this one particular morning, I just opened up uh, closet doors, got on my tippy toes, so to speak, and lifted up in the very top of the closet and hid it in the very back. And I thought, you know what? When I wake up in the morning, I'll go ahead and I'll just go ahead and secure it. Um, that morning, I got up and I ended up getting busy doing some other things. Matter of fact, I was outside in my backyard doing a little bit of rototilling. And my oldest daughter's, she didn't go to school that morning. She said she wasn't feeling that well. She was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression. And she was in the middle of a breakup with her boyfriend. And so while I was rototilling, her boyfriend come running around the house and said, "Hey, uh, Talia just called me on the phone and said she couldn't breathe." And I looked at him for a moment and trying to figure out what he's trying to tell me. I mean, she can't breathe. What do you mean? She called you?
Yep.
And so I was kind of putting this together real quickly, and I ran up the back stairs of the
And you
house.
probably had so many emotions going on trying to
Well,
process it, right?
yeah, I'm just make I'm thinking at this time that this doesn't make sense at all. But he's telling me this, and I need to rapidly check on my daughter. And so I ran upstairs and I ran into her bedroom, and she wasn't in there. And I really started to panic at that point.
Yeah,
And
as any
so
father would.
yeah, and she was 15 years old, 15 years old at that time. And so I next ran into my bedroom, and that's where I found my daughter. She was laying on the floor, and this is something that happens to other families. It doesn't happen to your family. It just
Right,
doesn't. You
right.
educate your kids on gun safety. You do everything you can, and But, I checked on my daughter and I knew there was nothing in this lifetime I was going to be able to do to bring her back. She had that pallor gray. Uh, I couldn't figure out how or what was wrong, what had happened. And there wasn't there wasn't anything I could see on the outside that would indicate uh, that she had died. But when I pulled up her shirt, there was no doubt in my mind at that point that she had shot herself. And I ran out into the garage, ran out into the driveway, called 911, and and then the hurt and I should say, the pain really started to begin. I called my wife on the phone, and she was out exercising with another female deputy sheriff. And I told her, I said, Tamara, you need to come home. And she goes, why? I says, please just don't ask me why. You need to come home.
Yeah,
And
there's no questions asked, right? I mean, what can you say?
yeah, and after talking to her for a minute, she broke down crying. She knew exactly what was going on, but I wanted to talk to her in person. And when she came home, uh, she f- she literally fell apart.
Yeah,
And
of course.
you know, I uh, I next had the police pick up all my kids from school, and I had to, I had three others. I had three. Well, I had four children, but two of them were in school. The police brought them home, and I had to individually tell them what had happened. And very hard, very hard.
No,
Um,
that's something no father should have to experience. And Dennis, I mean, I know all the followers are going to resonate with this, and a lot of our followers are younger men, but we all have families, and so my heart goes out to what you've endured. You've overcame so many obstacles in your life. I just remember that story you told me at the gym, and it was just I had to take a step back and look at my own life. It just hit so hard. So to get back on topic with it, it sounds like, man, you made a decision in your head, right, that you wanted to prevent this from happening to anyone else.
well, I did. The hard part for me kind of continued a little bit more. It's, you know, over the years, my family has never blamed me. My wife has never blamed me. I love my wife dearly for
Right.
trying to keep the family together, so to speak. But the problem is that I continued to blame myself every day.
For
You
how
might,
long? For how long, Dennis?
I still blame myself, John.
You got to stop that, man.
I still blame myself. But, I knew there was a point in time that I had to do something to kind of turn things around.
How did you do that?
Um,
I mean,
I,
this is the meat and potatoes, man. Like everyone, there's challenges we all face, right? And then we have to make a decision. Do we move forward or do we go backwards? Sounds like at this point of your life, you decided you had to make a change, right?
well, I had to make a change. After my daughter passed away, I went back to work 2 weeks later, and my very very first call that I got was a suicide up on the side of the mountain.
Oh boy,
And
Dennis.
I, I words can't even. I need to get myself together, but words can't
Yeah,
even
you're
explain what
okay.
I
Let
went
it
through.
out. Let it out,
I
Dennis.
uh, I drove up the side of the mountain, and I remember it was getting starting to rain, and I pulled a piece of plastic over the top of this father, uncle, brother, um, because I didn't want the rain to fall on him. And I had a few of the guys that I was working with saying, "Well, he's dead. Why worry about it?" I said, "You don't understand. This is someone's father. This is someone's brother. and we need to give them all the respect in the world that we can. And I remember leaving that day and going right down to the cemetery and probably crying for the rest of the day.
Of
So
course.
so that was really hard. And so yes, I still blame myself. But I knew there had to come a point where I could help somebody else. And I kept thinking and kept thinking. And it's really interesting. About 5 years ago, my son was out in the garage and I come out running out to him and I said, "Hey, Dustin," I said, "I think I got it. I think I know what we can do to help other families so they don't have to go through the grief that we have all gone through." Because this literally blew my family up. Literally blew my family up. And so my son and I talked about it for a little bit, and we come up with an idea, and then we were working with a company, and then we came up with a prototype, and then another prototype, and then another one. So we've probably came up with about 6 or 7 prototypes, and we finally had what we thought was the best gun lock, bar none. You know,
For
I'm just
sure.
going to show it to you so I can just
Here, let me see if I can. I want to have you full screen somehow.
okay.
I really want to zoom you in. Can I, maybe I have to.
Oh, there we go. Are you still there? I don't know if we've lost each other.
You won't be
There.
able to hear me when I do that, but what I'm
Oh,
gonna do
okay.
is I'll pull myself out so you can show it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, go.
So this is the lock that we eventually came up with, and I knew we had something good, especially as my son and I put a gun in there and we beat it up like you can't imagine. We took a grinder to it. We took a drill to it into the lock portion, which has an anti-drill plate. We took pry bars to it, trying to break it open. We spent about 25 minutes trying to break into this gun. Uh, could we eventually break into this? Yeah, eventually. If we spent a lot more time, we probably maybe could have broken into it. But the problem was by that time we were going to destroy the gun. And so I'm just going to, if you want now, John, I'll just kind of give you an idea on how this works.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You basically just open it up. I told you it's it's like a clamshell. It just opens and closes. Uh, I've checked the gun 100 times
Sure.
to make sure it
Of
wasn't
course.
loaded.
I have no doubt in my mind.
You place the gun right in there basically, and then what you do is you just close it, and then you lock it. And I'm going to hold it still for a second.
Okay.
After 5 seconds, could you hear that beep?
Absolutely.
And so if this is laying on, say, your nightstand, what it means is when you hear one beep, it's fully armed. There's also a two beep, and if you hear the two beep, that means that it's locked, but it's not alarmed.
Okay.
So if you're driving, if you hit a bump, it won't set the alarm off. So basically, if someone was to get a hold of the gun and start to play around with it, you're going to hear
Very high frequency.
five beeps, very
That's a
high.
very, very high frequency. Yep.
And so it'll stop after 5 beeps. But if they continue to tamper with the gun, you're going to hear another loud 5 beeps, followed with 120 decibel siren.
Wow.
And it will stop after 11 seconds.
Apologize for everyone on Apple Podcasts. This
Sorry.
thing is going to ring your ears, and this is the whole point of the product. Dennis, let me ask you a question about this. So, we have gun locks, right? I have one for my Glock. I wonder if I should have brought it, and it's just like a screw-in cable, but that can be cut with wire cutters.
Well, it can, and that's one of the things that we did. I'm just going to finish this one part. After this, the siren will go off after 11 seconds. But if you continue to tamper with it, it'll go through that 5 beeps and then siren over and over again. Yes, One of the problems with the gun locks that they have out today is they'll give you a cable that you can wrap in through there, but it only takes a 10-year-old to take a nice pair of wire cutters and cut that cable right off. Um, we were so concerned that this be the most robust lock on the market that there is, that we actually sent it to NTS, which is a national testing site in Wichita, Kansas, and it passed with flying colors.
Good for you.
And then we sent it to the Department of Justice in California. So we are approved as a gun lock manufacturer for the state of California. And
Congrats.
if you know about California, you have to jump through a lot of hoops.
That is definitely one of the most liberal places and anti-gun places that I know of. So you've that's a major accomplishment for T-Lock, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's a huge accomplishment. I feel comfortable that I could, you might want to look at this as a mobile gun lock.
Okay.
So here's a problem with safes. Let me just touch on that real quickly. You put a gun in a safe and you lock it up. If you don't think your kids know the combination to your gun lock safe, you are making a horrible mistake.
Kids are smart. They see
Kids,
everything. They hear everything. You think they're not listening? They're freaking listening.
I would take this gun if I had a safe. Okay, my guns are locked in the safe with this gun lock.
Good for you.
Okay, but if I leave it, if I, I've had a lot of people ask me, and some of your listeners will probably ask you this. Well, I want immediate access to my gun. You know, I understand that. You're sleeping at nighttime,
Right.
and a burglar comes into your home. I understand that. If you can honestly say that you're in possession of your gun 24 hours a day and you have control of it, okay, I'm all fine and good with that. But I'm going to ask you a question. What about when your grandkids come over and you happen to come into the kitchen, or your teenage daughter or son is having anxiety and depression, and all they could see is tunnel vision?
Yep.
Okay, they can't see a way out. Can you say that you're watching your gun 100% of the time? Let me tell you something. It takes me probably about a second, a second to open up that gun lock. So
So
if you're gonna have it on your nightstand, all it is just putting the key right in there and unlocking it. You can open it up extremely quick. You can.
I bet we could demo that. I bet you under 2 seconds easily.
Oh, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
if that's ever any of our followers, they're gonna purchase your gun lock out of support. So, but if that even comes up as a question, guys, seriously, it doesn't take a long time to put in a lock, unscrew, and get your gun out. So that's not an excuse not to buy this lock. I mean, you've already given us so many great value points to why it's the best gun lock on the market right now, and one of the most underutilized. So, but yeah, when the grandparents or grandkids are in town and they have anxiety, 1 in 4 people are on antidepressants. That means they have anxiety or depression. Um, Gun safety, I think, is one of the biggest problems that we're facing in America right now, and you have an answer to it. So, what do you see the future of T-Lock being?
I see the future of T-Lock being probably, I like to say, I'm not trying to overstate this, but I see T-Lock being the answer to a mobile gun safe, basically. Right now, we have, we're making these for 20 different models of Glock guns. Uh, I wished I had them for Sig Sauer. I wished I had them for Smith and Wesson. But here's what happened, John. Um, I I didn't know a lot about business, to be honest with you, when I first started this. But when we knew we had the best
Nope,
product,
nobody does, Dennis. That's the whole point of entrepreneurship is you get
yeah.
out there and you get kicked in the face and you wake up the next day, say, let's do it again.
Well, you know what? I spent about $100,000 on this, and
Sure.
I ordered 3,000 gun locks.
Yep.
I mean, when you take in consideration patent attorneys, trademarks, molds, and everything that goes with this. But the thing is, we've started, And our next venture is going to be Sig Sauer, and the next one's going to be Smith and Wesson. And we have some other things that we're going to add to this that I'm not at liberty to say at this point that I think owners will be very happy with. But
Good.
for right now, this is a solid, robust lock.
I know the answer. We've talked about it. I'm not going to
I
say,
know,
but
I know.
for everyone that is listening, there is a big step up to this lock that is coming soon, and you guys will be very excited for it. So, I mean, I want to bring it back to the story, right? The why you
Okay.
got started. It was emotional. Um, that's what people resonate with when you're starting a business is you have to have a why. Why is this the product I'm starting? Why am I investing my entire life to get this thing going? And it has to be a great story. I failed so many times creating that story. And what Dennis has done is he has captivated the most perfect entrepreneurship why. And it's the one in a million. It's the one that drives the entire business. And it's something that everyone should get behind because I buy products based off loyalty. So if they have a charity, I'll buy from them exclusively, and I'll even pay a higher premium for them. Dennis's why is just so incredible because it comes from personal experience. He had to suffer a tragedy to find a problem in the gun safe market to create the world's best gun safe and mobile gun safe if you want to brand it as that. Would you agree with that statement, Dennis?
John, I absolutely would. And something I failed to mention when I was explaining to your viewers how this worked.
No worries.
If you could, if it's probably hard to see, I'll put it up right here. But right here is an extruded piece of plastic, so that when you close this clamshell, it goes into the ejection port of your handgun. So that basically means that you cannot chamber a round in here while this thing is locked.
Wow.
It's impossible. I mean, we've built so many safety features in here, and so yeah, I'm very proud of what we've done.
Yeah, me too. So as far as the next step, I know you got some partnerships that you're gonna start working. Six Saucer will be a big one. Um, what do you think are some areas of expertise that you failed at that you could share with the users or the listeners of Modern Slackers?
Oh, I would love to. You know, it's
You learn through failure. You don't learn through success. I tell people this all the time.
you know, I've reinvented this gun lock over and over and over
Of course.
again. But when it was time, we went to a few gun shows, and we sold a few. But what I failed to do, and like I say, uh, you know, it's mostly law enforcement that I was good at, but I had to do this. But because I didn't have enough knowledge, I should have been at the same time developing a strategy for sales.
Yes.
And so what I've done is I've built this up, ordered 3,000 locks, but I failed to go ahead and have a separate or bifurcate this, you might say, in working on a sales aspect of it. So right now, I feel like I'm behind the curve, if that makes sense.
I think you're
And
ahead of the curve.
well,
I really do. I think you just did everything backwards.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right now I'm in the process of working with a guy that is extremely good on Amazon.
You're
Um,
talking about him, yes.
I'll be attending the SHOT Show in Las Vegas
Oh,
in January.
send me a text. I'll meet you out there. Let's go together.
I would love that. I would
That'd be great.
absolutely love that,
Yeah.
John. So there's little avenues. Just a couple days ago, the local news contacted me. They wanted to learn more about my gun lock. I've talked to the Attorney General's office. There seems to be a great interest. There's police officers back east. There's gun safety consortiums that are very interested in it also. And so I feel like we're starting to slowly crawl forward.
No, I've done a competitive analysis. I gave you some free consulting advice, and this is by far the best gun safety kit out there. The NTS tested and proved that was huge at movement detection. I mean, you really When you went through the process of developing it, did you do a competitive analysis? Did you look at all the other market, like what everyone else is doing, and then just try to up the ante? How'd you define like what to put in this lock?
There were several things. Yes, we basically did a lot of research on what was currently out there, and I'm not going to disparage any other gun locks out there because there's been some companies that have done a fairly good job. I believe ours is the only one that sets off a siren. But I would
And you
like
have
to.
a patent on this, right?
Yes, I have two patents and two trademarks on this.
Okay, I wanna talk about this, your mission statement here. If we can save but one life, it'll truly be worth it. Man, that's your whole why story. And and I really, Dennis, I wish if I could go back in time and wave a magic wand for you, man, I'd have this T-lock built for you, at the time where your daughter lost her life. And but now we got to look towards the future, and we really got to hone in on this, and everyone needs to be protecting their guns. I have a story I'd like to share. And it wasn't too long ago I hit a low point in my life, and I had to give up my sidearm to my grandparents. And when that happens, I had to hand it over because I was having problems in my head. I was like, what's this next step for me? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And I I had to hand it over because I was afraid I was going to take action on myself. And I feel like most people, they don't do that. Maybe they don't have enough self-control to be able to hand their gun to someone. But so I'm gonna definitely order. Christmas is past, but I'm gonna order everyone in my family a T-lock gift, because we all have guns. So, um, is there any models is it just for the Glock right now, or is there any other models that you're working on?
Uh,
You
right now,
mentioned
it's
Sig Saucer.
yeah, 6 hour. We'll go to that next,
Tower,
and then
I thought it was Saucer. It's
six
Sour?
hour, yeah, 6 hour, and then we'll go
Alright.
to Smith and Wesson. But I wanted to hit on a key point, John, that you said. I talked about everyone going through dark times. If every person were to be honest with themselves, every person that has lived on this planet have gone through a dark time to varying degrees. you know and that's even more important. I look at our vets. I look at our teenagers. I look at we're all going to go through those dark times. The question is, are we locking them up and doing our part? That's the most important thing.
So how would you encourage someone to do their part?
Well, let me just tell you a quick story.
Sure.
I received a phone call just a couple days ago from a guy. I'm not going to tell you his last name, but his name was John, and he lived back east. Yeah,
Okay,
figure,
so not
figure,
me, because I
not you.
did call you.
Yeah, and I had a great conversation with him, and he was a federal police officer. I can tell you that,
Yep.
and he had a 3-year-old boy, and he never thought his 3-year-old boy would ever touch a guns. But you know, it's what I just said a little bit earlier. This happens to other families, not yours. But his 3-year-old boy went in, and you see a gun, you're curious. You watch things on TV, you see things in a magazine. Your dad or mom might buy you a toy gun, but he's 3 years old, and he's playing around with the gun, and he shot himself in the chest. And I talked to John about this a little bit, and he's in the same situation I am. He's blaming himself. What I'd really like to see, John, is this. I would like to see law enforcement start the example, and
Okay,
let me explain why.
okay.
Um, there, if a police officer tells you that his gun is locked up all the time in his vehicle, that is absolutely wrong. There are times that he will throw it in the console, or he will throw it underneath the seat. And you know what?
Oh, wow.
If
I
someone they usually keep them locked up. I got
Sure.
I know that, but generally, no, well, excuse me, not generally, but occasionally they'll throw it underneath their seat or there. But here's what you have to live with. If, let's say someone comes into your home or a police officer's vehicle and steals that gun, are you going to be able to live with yourself if that gun is used in a crime and someone else gets killed as a result of the gun being stolen?
You're not gonna be able to live with yourself. That the amount of guilt that you'd have to put on yourself, right? That's your gun.
It's your gun. And
So let's I want to talk about this because this is great. So we're talking about having police lead as the example, right? And
absolutely.
I'm a big supporter of police. I always have been. Um, Having them be the example. What's some ways you could advertise that? What's some ways that we could get that into some sort of marketing campaign where the police force is backing T-Lock? Have you started asking yourself those types of questions?
I have. And, if there were any police chiefs listening to this, I would tell them number one, you spend, okay, hundreds of thousands of dollars on weapons for your police officers. Why aren't you equally investing in safety for your police officers? Case in point,
Wow.
I'm a retired deputy sheriff after 40 years. But, you know, I believe that chief should buy every single one of his guys a gun lock because the same thing, the unexpected is going to happen is that if they bring their weapon inside the house or even leave it in the vehicle,
Wow.
and their son, daughter, or whoever it is gets a hold of it, but here's one good thing about this T-lock. Let's say you're a thief and you're breaking into a house, or let's say even better, you have this locked up and it's in your patrol unit or unmarked unit. Okay. Has have there been a lot of vehicle burglaries on police vehicles? Oh, more than you can imagine.
Yeah, see, I never would have known that.
Yeah.
If I was a thief, I wouldn't go near a cop car.
Oh, we've had deputy sheriff's vehicles broken into before,
That's
where
insane.
their guns have, or let's say a deputy drives off with one, on top of their vehicle. These things have all happened and more. But here's the nice thing: each one of these have a serial number on them, and if you're a crook, okay, and you break into someone's house, or let's say a police vehicle, good luck, dude, because
Yeah.
as you're running down the road, with this in your hand and the sirens going off, I would dare say he's probably going to toss this gun off the side of the road, probably within the first 10 seconds, because it's going to be screaming, let me go. And the nice thing is, if someone else picks this up, there's a serial number. They contact our company. We can tell them exactly who it belongs to.
Okay. I love everything you just said, and we'll clip this for a promotion. You said something that really intrigued me. You said they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on guns, but why aren't they spending that much on gun safety? Now, as a taxpayer, that is something I would pay taxes and be
Yeah.
very happy to pay taxes on. So, how do we get to that point where do we just have to get more exposure for you? How do we get to the point where they're making that investment? Because it baffles me that they're willing to spend that much on guns, but not to protect the guns.
Well, and I want to be very careful and not throw a broad blanket over every police
Well, you
department.
are you are a former sheriff, so you do have to be a little careful.
And the reason I don't want to throw such a broad blanket over every single police department is because there are some police departments that do take precautions to make sure that these are locked up. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility, police officer, public, citizen, or whoever it is. At the end of the day, you are responsible for that gun.
So let's say I'm a police officer. Should I buy it if the police department's not going to buy it for me? I should buy it myself, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
So you
but
got two.
here's the deal. If you're a police officer, this is my opinion. It's the responsibility of the chief or the sheriff to buy these for every single gun that's issued. And the reason it's their responsibility is, do they want to have to go to the funeral of that deputy or police officer's child that gets buried a week later?
And when's enough is enough, right? Because it's happened a lot. So it's
It
like,
absolutely has.
so that's something I would package up into a marketing campaign, right? When is it enough? It's time. It's time we make a change in the police departments.
One of our local police departments bought one of these for almost every one of their officers. And
Congratulations to them.
yeah, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. I mean, I absolutely applaud them.
Good.
There's another police department that's looking at maybe buying another 125 so that their officers all have them.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, I think it starts with the police, but you can't always depend on that. If you're listening to this, you have to be responsible for your gun.
Yeah, and on the consumer side, guys, purchase. You're gonna. I'll make sure to leave the links in the description after this is published, and just if you have a Glock, purchase this. We have a couple questions from people. If you want to go
Okay,
through these real quick.
I'd
First
love
off,
to.
this guy says, "Love the show." Here's the next question. Especially today in a gaming age, guns are a symbol of entertainment than protection. Now, this is more for the younger crowd, Dennis, but this is true. You see kids playing Call of Duty where they're shooting people. So they see guns as toys. They're not seeing them as things that can kill you. So, what's your response to that question?
Well, you know what, as a parent, I know this is easy to say. We live in a world now of of almost virtual reality. I mean, you get on some of these games that they have out now. This is my personal opinion. I think kids are being brainwashed. You shoot somebody on the game, and there's no repercussions.
None.
Tell me something. You spend, let's say you're a kid, and you spend 5, 10, 15. I won't say 15, but 5 or 10 hours a week on playing these guns. And all you're doing is shooting someone and shooting someone. You
And you're shooting
tell
your friends too.
you tell me if that isn't a form of brainwashing. And then the thing that scares me next is that, how is that going to equate when he gets a real gun? Um, Obviously, there has to be a lot of education,
So much. Starts with
and
the
very
parents.
directed
See, that's the
education.
problem is, and this is a big problem because parents they give their kids iPads so they don't have to discipline them. They give them video games so they don't have to discipline them. Parents are becoming lazy. So if they're playing Call of Duty, Halo, whatever it is, I think it's Fortnite, they're killing their own friends and laughing about it. Now, any psychologist will tell you that's a big red flag, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. And I've played Call of Duty, blood shoots everywhere. You get used to violence, right? So parents need to hold themselves accountable. If their kids are playing these video games, they need to tell them, hey, in a real world situation, there is no respawning. You do not come back to life,
No.
and so I'm going to go ahead and put this next question up. Kids see guns and say, and are like, I play with this on, wow, okay. Kids see guns and are like, in quotes, I play with this on Fortnite. So they're seeing it as a toy.
Yeah,
This is
there again, I'll go back to it's a form of brainwashing. Uh, no consequences. You shoot. You just said it. You shoot your friends. You shoot other people. There's no consequences. You know, if you if you do something long enough, I worry that when you put a gun actually in someone's hands, how responsible are you going to be? And you know what? I'm probably, there's probably some parents out there disagreeing with me right now,
who
but
cares?
I'm telling you, how easy is it to say, hey, uh, Jimmy, just go sit on the couch and play whatever games you want to. You
That's what
know,
they're doing.
you're doing a big disservice for your kids. You know what? Get them out of the house.
Do you
You know,
remember
go.
I rolled around in dirt as a kid. I didn't have the video games like they I have a nephew that he is so glued to this Fortnite video game and all he's doing is killing his friends and it's like I want to go out there and when I was a kid I was playing football. You know, I
Yeah,
was playing catch. We
exactly,
were digging
exactly.
holes. We were digging holes, you know, and my family in Arizona, their grandkids, the people I'm staying with, their kids actually go out and play in dirt. They don't play video games. And it's like a one in a million. You don't see that anymore, you know, and it's like such great parenting. So when they hear this, they're gonna be super excited. But so Fiji says this is genius. He says this, I don't have any guns yet, but I won't be buying a gun. We'll just say that until I can afford your lock. Hey, you know what, Fiji? What I'll do is if you send me a DM, I'm gonna purchase you a T lock live and send it out to you. So you'll have to figure out what Glock you want. But when you purchase the gun, I'm telling you right now, I'll pay for your T lock. So
And hey, Fiji, if you get a chance, look on our website and it'll tell you all the. See, it covers 20 different models of the gun.
he has children, I believe.
Yeah, and here's another thing. I've heard a lot of wives say that, I don't want my husband to own a gun. But if they have the gun lock, I'm okay with it. But then I'm going to go back one more step. You mentioned about kids. Yeah, I'm probably old school. When I was growing up, I was out raking leaves. Matter of fact, I was just talking to one of my very good friends, and she has her kids, her grandkids out there always doing something to clean up the yard, and inside the house. You know, the problem is there's so much free time for kids, and if you get them on those video games, I promise you, you're
They get
doing a
hooked.
huge disservice to your kids. When there's so many things to do, support them in basketball, football, wrestling, whatever it is. You know what? Turn the tide. Get your kids. Our society is moving in the wrong direction.
Of course it is. That's how future happens. I mean, like it's either you fight it or you go with it, right? But if I ever have kids, which I'm making a statement, I will never have kids. Never doing it. Never getting married. We had this conversation. I will not
Yes.
ever involve the government into divorce court, all that. I had bad parents growing up, so I'm not following their example. I'm just not going to have them. But um, there's so many things parents can do, and they're just lazy because this millennial generation. Um, actually, he just posted another question. My wife and I both would like to be armed, but to also do it safely. So when we're ready to purchase it, we will definitely be doing so with the locks. So I'll pay for one of them for you. Just DM me, and then you can pay for your wife's. So 50% off on two. So
Wow.
that's my personal commitment to you. So you're already getting some sales on here. That's exciting. So I do have to wrap this up, but I do want to share the screen one more time. Um, Guys, this is his story. This is Dennis's entrepreneurship why story. This is his daughter that lost her life and the reason why he created this gun. And I wanted to share this because I've looked at this picture probably 100 times by now.
Hey,
And
John.
yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but this story that you're I'm probably gonna have to put my glasses on for this one. But
no
this
worries.
but this story right here, um, I want you to know something.
Yes, sir.
I know people have different beliefs, but I wrote this. It's funny. My family left and I sat down at the computer and I thought, I don't know what to say. I don't know how I'm going to put this across. And I'm telling you this right now. My daughter that's on that picture right there, she was standing right by my side when I wrote that. Do you mind reading that out?
Sure. Something I blame myself for each day that I'm alive. Let me go to the screen. This only happens to other families until it happened to mine. My daughter had a long battle with anxiety and depression. She died by suicide using my gun that I thought she would never find. Over the years, my family fell into depression and misery, a downward spiral. We wondered would ever stop, when it would ever stop. From the ashes rose my two beautiful daughters, son and wife that never blamed me. That's so important. This project was born to prevent any family from going through hell from where I came from. We believe that a family can have strength and peace through security. In loving memory, my daughter, my inspiration. And that's the story of T-Lock, everyone. My goodness. So, Dennis, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna promote the heck out of this for you, and run some ads. I want as many people to see the story as possible. This is gonna be my Christmas gift to you. So, uh, do you have any other questions or comments or statements you want to make to the audience?
Other than John, I really appreciate this.
No,
This is
don't no, you owe me no thanks. Seriously, you've done the work, Dennis, and I always talk about doing the no, you owe me nothing. Okay?
the last thing I'd like to say is I know my daughter is walking with me every step of the way on this, and I feel her. I
Good.
always feel her, and I just appreciate the opportunity to tell my story, as painful as it is, and I don't want this pain to ever happen to any other family.
Well, you know what? You have a supporter with me and our followers. I think we're up to 20,000 on Apple Podcasts. So I'm going to do and fight tooth and nail for you, Dennis. And just reach out to me if you need anything. And I don't care what it is, but I want to make sure that this story gets heard. And
Thank you,
if it,
John.
no, don't, no thanks needed. You did the work, my guy. There was a reason, right, that you are where you are today. There's a reason why T-Lock exists, and that reason needs to be told. So let us do that job for you. And it was so good to have you on the show, Dennis.
Well, John, thank you very much. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, you consider it done.
Just send me text saying I'm getting buff every day. I'm still hitting the gym. I'm actually I have to go back to the hospital soon, so I've been getting injury after injury. Like it's just
Oh,
I'm getting old, Dennis. After 30, everything's all the pistons stop working. So
well, I know maybe your listeners don't know this or they do know it. I know you were involved in a very, very horrific accident. And you
yeah,
know what? Godspeed to you, my friend.
yeah, and Godspeed to the family and the lady that lost her life that day. I um That's a topic for another show. I'm not a mental health nut, so but Dennis, I'm gonna go ahead and pull you out and finish up the podcast. But thank you so much, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave your links at the bottom. I'll connect with you after the show, just to get the right information for people to contact you and buy the product.
Thank you very much, John.
No
You have a
problem.
good one.
Congratulations, Dennis. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Fiji, amazing pot. Yeah, that was fantastic. Dennis, that story, guys. So oh my gosh. I mean, he had me emotional, right? So when you're starting your business, guys, you have to have something so authentic. That story, that why. Why am I getting up at 5 a.m. to build this product? Why am I leveraging my house to put up the funds to start this product? If you don't have a why as strong as what Dennis has, you probably shouldn't start your business. And I mean that. I want you guys to everyone to pick up the book Start with Why by Simon Sinek. It changed my life. It all defines, basically we're writing a book. We're all writing a book and there's chapters in our book. One day the book closes. What does your book say, right? That's a Kevin Hart quote and I love it. Start with why, guys. Start with why. And our channel sponsor today is Lux MMA. We got to pay the bills. So Lux MMA, what they do is they take amateur fighters and they take them to the next level through promotion and advertising. My heart goes out to the 3-year-old boy and his family that Dennis mentioned. I know all the slackers. We'll give a prayer for that family, for the kid that shot himself. What a tough thing to go through. We're going to make sure that we never have this happen again. T-Lock you'll see in stores, you'll see hopefully by police departments utilize as much as possible. So guys, please go ahead and purchase a T-Lock. I'll go ahead and drop that link one more time here. One second as I find it. So guys, go to www.t-lock.net, okay? And I might be able to get your promotion code, so DM me and maybe we can run a discount. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and donate 10 of these T-locks to our first 10 DMs. So if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to go ahead and donate 10 of these T-locks to people that need them. So go ahead and reach out to me or leave a comment when this video is done. And first 10 people, you'll get a T-lock. So that's my gift to Dennis. That's my gift to you guys. And that's just how much I believe in this product. I've reviewed thousands of startup pitches. I've started my own companies, been very successful. I've failed 1,000 times, and Dennis has done something I wish I could have done, and I wish I could have had an authentic story to start. So everyone, thank you so much for watching the 5 Modern Pillars to Success. I can't wait to see you guys next week on our next show. Please like and subscribe to this video, guys. And again, go check out T-Luck. We got one more comment here. Lux MMA, let's go. Thanks, man. All right, guys. Well, you take care, and I will go ahead and get this process for Apple Podcast. Take care. Bye bye. Good luck.